Well, hello and welcome to part 2 of our hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon HeartGold using only fire types. You guys try to say that. This is like the 17th time we've done this intro because it's a pain. Last time, we beat the entirety of Johto, we beat the Elite Four, we beat the champion, and credits rolled. Technically, that is the end of the run, and technically, we have beaten HeartGold with only fire types. In my bug run, we did not do the events of Kanto, and a few people told me that that run was invalid. I did check with the Nuzlocke police, and that run has been struck from the Nuzlocke records forever. I still stand by my statement that this is all post-game, and we don't have to do Kanto. This game just had an added region. It was very awesome, but I've succumbed to peer pressure, so we are going to do the events of Kanto. Professor Elm just gave us the SS ticket. We're not going to go to Kanto just yet. There are a few things that we need to do. First of which is head over to Cherry Grove and deposit, unfortunately, our good pal Mithra, who fell at the very end of the episode. The last episode did push us over the 1,000 subscriber mark. Thank you guys so much for your continued support on these videos. It is the most amazing thing to see that achievement made, and it's all thanks to you guys. I'm so excited. Thanks to Mithra's sacrifice, the rest of the team was allowed to make it through the champion battle relatively unscathed. The hole that is left in our heart will never be filled, and Mithra does get to sit in that big ash cloud in the sky forever, and you will never be replaced. It is very unfortunate because Mithra was the answer to Janine because it can learn Psychic. I was excited to use this thing in Kanto, and we can evolve it, but unfortunately, friend, until next time. To further prove my point that everything that we are doing thus forward is post-game, we head to the port where the SS Aqua is and we run into Professor Oak. What is Professor Oak doing here? Well, he's giving us the National Dex, which can only be got in post-game. Don't believe me? Go to Bulbapedia. That has never been wrong ever, because the internet's always true, and it will tell you that this is post-game. I'm going to drive this point home a few times, so I'm sorry if it gets annoying. The next thing that I want to do is head back to Dragonthorn City. Blackthorn City. You know what? Dragonthorn sounds better. No? Yeah. Anyway, where the Dragon Trainers are, when I was doing the level up moveset for Growlithe, I never looked at Arcanine's moveset, so I didn't realize that Thunderfang is something that we could teach. So I'm going to delete Aerial Ace with the help of a heart scale and learn Thunderfang. I bet you this comes in handy later. That's why we're getting it now. I then head back to Goldenrod City because keen-eyed viewers pointed out a discrepancy in the last video. The zoom lens, if we look at the description here, it does say if the holder moves after the foe, it boosts our accuracy by 20%. I mistakenly didn't read that. I just thought it was a 20% boost. So with the remaining coins, I'm going to come in here and get the wide lens, which is a 10% accuracy boost. Thank you guys for the continued comments like that. Though you pick apart every little part of my video, that one was greatly appreciated because I was incorrect. We head to the 5th floor of the department store, and I'm going to rebuy Fire Blast to teach to Apollo. It's a move that we should have left on him. I don't know why I deleted it for Flamethrower. Flamethrower is more accurate, but this move is just way stronger, and we're running a less than accurate moveset anyway. Now that we have the National Dex in our hand, we can go to the Pokegear, and in the radio, we can go to the Pokemon March channel. On Wednesdays, it is the Hoenn sound. On Thursdays, it is Sinnoh sounds, and this allows us to catch Hoenn and Sinnoh Pokemon. This is only available post-game. We can now wander around Ilex Forest, and we have the chance to encounter a new teammate. It'll never fill the hole that Mithra left, but Numel is an encounter nonetheless. Now, I had a comment in the last episode saying that it was a bit disingenuous that I didn't show the Growlithe police, and I was a little condescending with my reply because I don't like it when my videos are picked apart. But to be fair, Growlithe does have Roar, and I should have shown that. Since we were a bit disingenuous last time, we're going to show the captures this time. And let's welcome Z, the Numel that has a docile neutral nature that we got in the Ilex Forest. We now have a complete team once again, and it has the ability Simple. We're not really going to have to worry that because we're going to slap the experience share on this thing, and we are going to grind it up It is going to be an answer into one of the Kanto gym leaders really soon, actually. Welcome to the team, Numel. Mithra, you are missed. The other thing that opens up post-game is the Battle Frontier. We can come here and we can battle our Pokemon. Most of our Pokemon are at the right level. We don't gain experience and we can get our hands on battle points. With the battle points, we can then trade those in for moves like Sludge Bomb, which I am very interested in. There are other things here. We can re-get Aerial Ace, we can get Brick Break, Earthquake, things like that. None of those are going to help us much. Will-O-Wisp may, and another Shadow Ball TM might be up our alley. We're going to have to do quite a bit of grinding to get some battle points, but I think it's very doable. The other thing that we can do over here is we can get some different items like Toxic Orbs and Flame Orbs and Focus Sashes and things like that to help us along our journey. I don't know if any of these held items are going to be something that I want to get. Getting battle points is a bit of a pain in the butt. We can do it relatively easy, I think. So maybe we'll spend some time here getting our hands on just a couple of things. The wave of nostalgia every time I play one of these games as we come into Port of Vermilion is just overwhelming. A tear does well up in my eye ever so slightly. Of course, I played these games in the Gen 2 originals ad nauseum when I was a teenager. I haven't played the Gen 4 remakes all that much. This is about my 5th or 6th run through these games, but is still overwhelming nostalgia. Now, if you're doing a casual playthrough of the post-game in Kanto, of course you can do whatever you want. We, however, are playing a Nuzlocke, and we are forced to adhere to hard level caps, meaning we have to make our way to Fuchsia City to take on Janine. She is the first gym leader. We can then backtrack to Vermilion to take on Surge after that. Misty and Brock are next. We backtrack to take on Sabrina, then Erica, then Blaine, and then finally Blue. That is the order we have to do things here in Kanto because of the way Nuzlockes work. On Route 7 in Kanto at night, you can get your hands on a Houndour. Now, I didn't know that this thing had the move Roar when I caught it, but I wanted to show the catch nonetheless. I'm not trying to hide anything. We just didn't show the catch with Growlithe because I threw a Pokeball at it and we caught it the first try. I'm putting this thing to sleep and going to throw an Ultra Ball at it. And I mean, we went through the entirety of this game with fire types. Even if I didn't have Arcanine on my team, we would have made it to Lance nonetheless. It was invaluable with the Intimidate drops to the Aerodactyl, but come on, guys. Picking apart my videos is never fun for me because I spend so much time and put so much effort into them. Nonetheless, let's welcome Soul the Houndour to our team. It has a timid plus speed minus attack nature. That's perfect because I'm going to make it a special attacker. It has the ability Flash Fire, which is awesome. And to be honest, I think it's going to take over Flareon's space. NT, you're going to probably sit in the box for the foreseeable future because Soul and Z are just that much more valuable. I am sorry, my friend. I do truly love you. So first up for the Kanto gym leaders is Janine, Koga's daughter, the new ninja leader of the Poison-type gym in Fuchsia. She leads with my favorite Pokemon, Crobat, and I lead with Surya. My new strategy is just to use Ancient Power to get rid of the Crobat, and then we're gonna burn everything else till it's gone. We do get hit with Supersonic turn 1, which is super annoying, and of course we hurt ourselves in Confusion. Crobat then goes for a Screech, lowering our defense by 2 stages, and we break through Confusion to hit an Ancient Power that does amazing damage down to mid-yellow health, and we get the Omni Boost. That's it. That's the end of this gym leader. Crobat hits us with a strong wing attack. It's still resisted, and it did still outspeed us. We snap out of Confusion, however, and take out the Crobat with 1 more Ancient Power. Out next for Janine is her Weezing. Because of the Omni Boost, we outspeed it, and we fire off a Stab Flamethrower. This is the only Pokemon that we don't have a super effective move against, but we do one-shot it with a single Flamethrower. Out next for Janine is one of her Ariadoses. Ariados? I don't know. Doesn't matter. We Flamethrower this thing to the face, and it goes down in a single shot. Out comes her next Ariados, and we of course outspeed it as well and take it out with a single Flamethrower. Last for Janine is her Venomoth, and just like the Ariados before, it falls to a single flamethrower, winning us the first Kanto gym badge. You know, I never talked to this guy that does the pictures, but since we're out here on Route 14 trying to train up Camerupt for the upcoming Surge battle, why not take a picture of the team? Beautiful. Amazing. Next up for the Kanto gym leaders is Lieutenant Surge, and if you thought I was going to lead with Z against Lieutenant Surge, well, you truly are one of the smartest people I know. You guys can read me like a book. We don't outspeed the Raichu. We're not going to outspeed anything. Raichu sets up double team, which is annoying, but we break through the +1 evasion to fire off a very strong earth power that does in fact one-shot the Raichu. Out for Surge is one of his electrodes. It too sets up a double team. I know one of these does potentially have explosion, so this was a little bit scary, but we break through the +1 evasion and fire off a stab super effective earth power that does in fact take out the electrode. Next out is Magneton. Magneton outspeeds us and sets up a double team like its two fallen friends before us, but this time we in fact miss our earth power. Magneton then hits us with a resisted mirror shot, not doing much damage, and I can fire back a quad super effective earth power that cleanly one-shots Magneton. I believe that's quad super effective. If it's not, correct me. Out next for Lieutenant Surge is Electabuzz, and Electabuzz gets to be just a little bit annoying because turn 1 it sets up Light Screen. It doesn't matter, however, because Earth Power does a substantial amount of damage even with the Light Screen boost to Special Defense. We get the Special Defense drop, and Electabuzz heals up with its held Citrus Berry. It pulls it out of healing range, which is awesome. Electabuzz then hits us with a pretty strong low kick because we're a chunky boy, and we fire back with another Earth Power, knocking out the Electabuzz, leaving just the last Electrode. It does like all of its comrades before it and sets up a double team, but Z is not having any of that. It breaks through the +1 evasion, firing off a stab super effective earth power, and despite the light screen, it does one-shot the Electrode, winning us the second gym badge. So there's a little bit of storyline stuff that we have to do. Not much, but we need to talk to this guy in the powerhouse, and there's no power in Kanto because somebody stole a part from this generator. Now technically he puts the part in the control panel, not in the generator, and even as a kid I knew in the original Gold and Silver games that what he was doing was not 100% right. There's a lot of safety measures and stuff that goes into real powerhouses, so somebody wouldn't just be able to walk in and steal stuff. Plus, this is all powered up, so if they'd reached in that cabinet, most likely they would die. Being a licensed journeyman electrician, I know much more about this, so as an adult, I know that this is completely wrong. But it's Pokemon. So we head to the Cerulean Gym like the cop tells us, and of course we bump into the Bye-Bye a Go-Go Team Rocket dude, which this always seemed pretty interesting to me. It's kind of like a rushed thought. I really don't know, but Bye-Bye a Go-Go, and now we gotta go chase him. Bye-Bye. Okay, we gotta go find the Team Rocket guy. It's not hard to find him. Wandering around, there's not too many places he can go. And if you're a curious person like I am, I wasn't even really thinking about chasing the rocket down. I wanted to head north to Bill's house, and of course here he is. Now we talk to him, and we're going to have to battle him, so he will tell us what he did with the part that he stole. It's a very easy battle. At this point in the game, nothing really stands much of a chance against us until we get to the 8th and final gym leader. He just has a Golbat, and we have a fully evolved team of monsters like Apollo. We can easily take out this Team Rocket guy, and he tells us exactly where he hid the machine parts inside of Misty's gym. In the original Gold and Silver games, the machine part was hidden in water, which never seemed right to me, but in this game it's hidden in the inner tubes, which still isn't right, but Pokemon, it's just Pokemon. We gotta remember that. We make our way back to the powerhouse to give the part to the manager. The manager is going to put it in the control panel, and everything's just gonna start working. Whoa! Yay! Woo! You did it! Yay! Zap, you're the best! Oh my god! Kanto can't live without you! He gives us Charge Beam. I was expecting a parade, but I'll take the TM, I guess. Now, just so you know, if parts were shaken like that one right there, or the parts that are on the back of the generator were going in and out. Things like that aren't supposed to happen, so you would need to hire somebody. This needs to be shut down and looked at immediately. We have to head then to Lavender Town, and you actually should have talked to this guy before, but we need to talk to this guy in the new radio tower, and he's going to be really, really happy and give us the expansion card so that we can wake up the sleeping Snorlax. This is pretty much the extent of the storyline stuff in Kanto. There's no power, we get the powerhouse back up and running, and there's not a whole heck of a lot that goes on after that, but we can then head over to Saffron City where we can talk to the copycat girl and get ourselves a magnet train pass. That is the next thing that we need to do. I've been through these routes battling all of these trainers because I needed experience. That's how Z got leveled up, and that's how we've got ourselves a Houndoom as well. Yeah, I've pretty much battled every trainer in Kanto. Nothing stands in our way. We don't really need the magnet train pass in this game, because we can fly to the Indigo Plateau, and then we can fly to Johto. That wasn't really a thing in the original Gold and Silver games. Getting our hands on the train pass was very important. She, of course, just says that we're going to do it, and we need to find her lost Clefairy doll in Vermilion, which happens to be in the Pokemon Fan Club house. This guy right here can't catch a Clefairy of his own, so he found this doll, and he just thought, you know what, I'll take it. I don't understand people. But I will take the lost item and we will give it back to its rightful owner, something you should have done. Leaving, we run into Steven Stone. It's a pretty cool little callback, and I love Emerald, you guys know that. He talks about Latios and Latias. We get to see Latias. I don't really care. Thank you, Steven, for, just existing. We then head back to the copycat girl and we give her the doll, and she gives us the magnet train pass, and now we can go back and forth between Goldenrod and Saffron City relatively easy. Again, we can just fly to Indigo Plateau and then fly to anywhere in Johto. Now technically this is the last quote-unquote storyline stuff. You come up here and you interrupt Misty's date. She calls me a pest. It's not like I did this intentionally. I'm just wandering around Kanto as a 10-year-old boy solving the world's problems like Powerhouse is not working, Clefairy dolls lost 2 towns over. I'm a problem? I'll go to your gym. I'll be there in a minute. For Misty, we do have Apollo with Solar Beam, but I taught Raw Thunderfang for this battle. I don't want to use the same Pokemon back to back. I want to try to use some different Pokemon, so Raw, it is your time to shine. We fire off a Thunderfang, and though it does quite a bit of damage, it doesn't KO the Golduck, leaving it with about 1/4 of its health. Golduck fires off a Water Pulse, but we have a held Pasho Berry. I put Pasho Berries on every single one of my Pokemon because I'm not stupid. At least not on camera. I'm very polished. Well, you can't see me, but Misty uses a full restore, and we fire off another Thunderfang that takes it back down to 1/4 of its health, and it paralyzes. The paralysis doesn't matter because we would have outsped no matter what, and another Thunderfang takes out the Golduck. Out comes Quagsire, who is immune to Thunderfang, so we fire off a Crunch, doing just over 1/3 of its health. Quagsire is going for Amnesia, raising its special defense, and we're hitting it on the physical side, so I go for another Crunch. This one connects, and it gets the critical hit, knocking out the Quagsire. Very nice. Out comes Misty's Starmie. We go for Crunch turn 1, doing about 3/4 of its health. It heals up with a held Citrus Berry and just goes for Confuse Ray, which confused me. Both in-game and in real life. I figured this thing would try to take me out with a Water Pulse. We break through Confusion next turn to take out the Starmie with one more Crunch, and out comes Lapras. I know Lapras is going to go for a Water-type move, so I swap into Apollo, who can tank the incoming Water Pulse with a held Pasho Berry. We can then set up Sunny Day the next turn, weakening the incoming Water Pulse turn 2. We're sitting at just over half health, and we fire off a Solar Beam. It does a lot of damage to Lapras, but doesn't quite KO it, and Lapras claps back with a decent body slam, leaving us at 50 HP. Misty then uses a full restore. We hit it with another Solar Beam back down to a Sliver. Misty uses another full restore, and we hit it with Solar Beam back down to a Sliver again. And finally, a second Solar Beam, quote unquote, takes out the Lapras, winning us this gym battle. All of the little side quests that we've done have led to this moment where we have the expansion card in our radio so that we can get to the Pokeflute radio station. Getting onto that wherever it's up top, yes, yeah, right there. We can then back out of this, and this wakes up the Snorlax. Now, Snorlax is a formidable foe. It is a beastly Pokemon, and it is quite scary to take on. I'm a little bit worried that I could lose my Pokemon because this thing is at level 50, but luckily for us, we have a tried and true strategy, which is very simple. We just click run. Against Brock, our plan is to lead with Apollo, take out the Graveler with a Focus Blast, set up the Sun, and sweep the rest of his team with Solar Beam. It's a foolproof plan without any holes in it whatsoever. Against the Graveler, we do in fact connect with a Focus Blast, and we do in fact one-shot it, bringing out Rhyhorn. We set up the Sun against Rhyhorn turn 1, and it goes for Scary Face. Crap, there's a hole in the plan. I forgot it had that. We do still outspeed it because it is a super slow Pokemon, and we one-shot it with a quad super effective Solar Beam. This brings out Omastar, the reason I wanted to sweep with Solar Beams, and Omastar goes for Protect. That is super, super annoying because we're running out of Sunlight turns. Omastar then hits us with an Ancient Power, but I do have a Charti Berry. It was a 50-50 shot we were going to get hit with a Rock or Ground-type move, and I don't have the Ground-type berries. We then hit it with a quad super effective Solar Beam, one-shotting it. Very nice. Out next is Onix, and this is where things really start falling apart. We get hit with a Rock Slide down to 63 HP, and we flinch. I decide then to swap into Lou. Lou gets hit with a Rock Slide on the swap. We outspeed and hit it with a Water-type Natural Gift, but I equipped the wrong berry, so it doesn't KO the Onix, leaving it with a little bit of red health. A held Citrus Berry then heals it back up to just under half, and Onix sets up the Sandstorm. Again, plans fell apart. We get hit by the Sandstorm low enough to where I think we'll get knocked out with a Rock Slide, so we swap into Z, who tanks a resisted Rock Slide on the swap. Sandstorm's not going to do anything because of our ground typing. Onix misses his Screech, and we take it out with a super effective Earth Power. This brings in Kabutops. Kabutops has the priority move Aqua Jet. I'm still holding a Pasho Berry from the last fight, and our ability weakens super effective moves, so we can tank an Aqua Jet on 35 HP, and then take out the Kabutops with a stab super effective Earth Power, winning us the Brock battle. Little according to plan. I guess technically there is one more storyline thing. You can run into your rival Algo in Mount Moon. He will challenge us to a battle here, saying that he's trying to work on himself and his Pokemon, and after this battle I believe you can randomly fight him in the Elite Four or before you go to the Elite Four. His team, again, we lead with Apollo, we set up the Sun, we Fire Blast the Sneasel, Feraligatr comes out, and we knock this thing out with a Solar Beam. His team has never been a problem since that very first battle in Azalea Town. We can take out the rest of his team with Fire Blasts or whatever we need to. I'm sorry, Algo, to ruin your whole shtick of getting better and being a better Pokemon trainer, but we are far superior. When Gengar comes out, I decide to swap into Soul, who's been leveled up and is sitting with super effective Dark Pulse, just to see how it would do. It gets confused, but it does take out the Gengar. And last, of course, is Golbat. I don't want to lose any Pokemon on a fluke, so we swap into Ra, who has Thunderfang, and we can take out the Golbat. Never mind, it doesn't go down in the first hit, but we break through confusion to win the battle. Sorry, Algo, but that is the last we are going to see of you in these runs. Until next time. Going up against Sabrina, I figured we had a very easy win with our super effective dark moves from Soul, but she proved to be a little bit more difficult than I originally thought. Against her lead Espeon, it doesn't stand a chance. We outspeed it and we one-shot it with a stab super effective Dark Pulse. Alakazam then comes out and it too falls to a stab super effective Dark Pulse, and we of course outspeed it. When Mr. Mime comes out, we fire off a stab super effective Dark Pulse against it, and this thing tanks it like a champ. It leaves it on red health, and annoyingly Mr. Mime sets up a light screen. This is going to allow Sabrina to heal with a full restore next turn, and now our Dark Pulses aren't quite doing even half. That's annoying. I decide to swap up to Flamethrower because it's a slightly higher damaging move, but unfortunately we do get a very low roll and we leave Mr. Mime with some decent red health. He just mimics Flamethrower, which isn't going to do him any good with our Flash Fire ability. Sabrina then heals with another full restore, and I fire off a Dark Pulse that does over half this time, so I think we can take it out and fire off another Dark Pulse, but we get a low roll, leaving Mr. Mime on a sliver. It goes for Skill Swap, which is annoying. Sabrina heals up again with another full restore, and we hit this thing with a Sludge Bomb down to just about half. I'm trying everything right now. We fire off one more Dark Pulse, and we do get a better roll this time, beating the Mr. Mime, winning the battle. That was annoying. Lou hasn't seen a lot of screen time, so against Erica I decide to lead with Lou. Now crazily enough, Lou can actually learn the TM for Poison Jab, which we get as a TM from beating Janine. I decide to go with Poison Jab against the Jump Pluff because we can't survive the recoil from 4 Flare Blitzes, and Poison Jab does a lot of damage, but it doesn't quite KO the Jump Pluff, leaves it on low red health, and Jump Pluff connects with a Leech Seed. Now that's annoying, but it is going to pull Jump Pluff out of healing range, so Erica's not going to use a potion, and we can take it out next turn with one more Poison Jab. This brings out Tangela. That's right, I said it. Comment me. We decide to go for Flare Blitz against the Tangela, and it does in fact one-shot it, doing a decent amount of recoil damage back to us, leaving it as at 95 HP. Our Shell Bell brings us up to 112 HP, and one-shotting these Pokemon, we're not going to get sapped from Leech Seed. We fire off a Flare Blitz against the Victory Bell, and it one-shots it as well, and we get down to 56 HP after recoil damage. Shell Bell brings us back up to 77 HP, and we should be able to survive one more recoil against the Bellossom. Bellossom comes out, we fire off a Flare Blitz, cleanly one-shotting it, and we get taken down to 23 HP. Shell Bell then brings us back up to 43 HP, and that was a very easy battle. Little risky, but easy. I don't know why I ever stop and talk to Blue. It's a familiar face. The first time you play, it's kind of neat to go talk to him. He kind of whines about losing to Red. But we've got to go beat Blaine before he will let us challenge him in the Viridian Gym. I guess you do have to talk to him to know that, but we know that. So let's go battle Blaine. Against Blaine, I'm actually going to lead with Z. I know I didn't change up the bottom, I'm sorry. I had a choice to lead with Magcargo or Z. Z actually has a quad super effective against Blaine's Magcargo, so Surya is just going to take a backseat for the moment. We don't outspeed any of these Pokemon except for Magcargo, which we one-shot with a single Earth Power. This brings out Magmar, and I think Blaine's just throwing this in my face that he has a fully alive Magmar. I hate you. It also hits us with a Confuse Ray, which is annoying, but Z is a trooper and breaks through the confusion to one-shot the Magmar with a stab, super effective Earth Power. This brings out Blaine's ace, Rapidash, not Arcanine, Rapidash. Rapidash outspeeds and goes for Bounce. We are confused, and we hurt ourselves in confusion. That's kind of crappy. To add insult to injury, Rapidash hits us with Bounce on the next turn, and it paralyzes us. But Z is the ultimate champion. He breaks through confusion and paralysis to fire off a stab, super effective Earth Power that cleanly one-shots Rapidash, winning us the 7th badge of Kanto. We can then head back to Cinnabar Island, which I run into that sign every single time, and we can talk to Blue, who heads to Viridian, waiting for our challenge. I'm not quite ready for his challenge. He's got a non-monotype team, and it's a bit scary. We do have all 7 badges. This is the only one that we need to get before we can take on Red. I've had to sit down and come up with strategies for every single gym leader, but Blue is the most difficult because he has a non-monotype team. His Rhydon, his Gyarados, and his Machamp pose a very, very big threat against our monotype fire team. Executor doesn't. The only thing that would have went wrong in this battle is if Fire Blast had missed, we would have had to implement Plan B, which is C Plan A. I don't know how the battle would have differed because we connect with Fire Blast, taking out Executor, and the first major threat on Blue's team comes out Rhydon. We set up the Sun, and Rhydon hits us with a Stone Edge. Luckily, we had the Charty Berry equipped. I don't have the Earth Weakening Berries, the Ground Weakening Berries, so this was a 50-50 shot. He could have used Earthquake. We take out the Rhydon with a quad super effective Solar Beam on the next turn, and out comes the second threat, Gyarados. We soak up the Intimidate with Apollo, and we swap into Ra. I thought Gyarados would go for a Water-type move, but it just goes for Dragon Dance, so this was a free swap in. A quad super effective Thunder Fang takes out the Gyarados because Pokemon Law. I'm glad we still outsped the Gyarados. This just leaves Blue's Machamp. He is the last major threat with Rock Slide. I decide we are going to go for our strongest move on our strongest Pokemon, Ra, with Flare Blitz. Flare Blitz is enough to cleanly one-shot the Machamp, and that is the major threats out of the way, but we are not out of the woods yet. He's still got two strong Pokemon left. The first of which is Arcanine that gets off an Intimidate, so I swap into Z. I think it can resist the Flare Blitz pretty well, but Arcanine gets off a critical hit down to 59 HP, so I have to swap because I don't want to lose Z. Z is pivotal to the red battle. I swap in Surya, who tanks the Flare Blitz much better with very minimal damage, and then tanks a Dragon Pulse fairly well down to 80 HP. We fire off an Ancient Power that leaves Arcanine on a sliver of red health, and Blue goes for a full restore. This means we can fire off another Ancient Power, but this one gets a very significant low roll, leaving Arcanine on some decent yellow health. I could swap, but I decide not to. I think Surya can tank one more Dragon Pulse, and if this thing had crit, we would have lost Surya, but we go unpunished and fire off another Ancient Power that takes out the Arcanine, leaving Blue with just his signature Pidgeot. As Pidgeot comes out, I swap into Ra. Ra gets off that Intimidate and gets hit with a decent return. Thought it would do less damage, leaving us at 85 HP. I fire off a Thunder Fang that does well over half of Pidgeot's health, but Pidgeot has a held Citrus Berry, so it heals it back up to about half. We then get hit with an Air Slash that takes us down to 33 HP. Again, critical hit, we would have lost Ra. One more Thunder Fang wins us the 8th and final gym badge of Kanto. That is 16 gym badges in our pockets. After which, we get a call from Professor Oak that says, "Stop by the lab, I got something for you." He hands us the HM for Rock Climb. It's a normal type move that I never really use, but we need this HM to get to red. He's going to also open up the doors so that we can go to Mount Silver and we can take on the ultimate boss, besides Cynthia, Red. The amount of grinding that I did for this battle was so much that I actually forgot to change the level cap on screen. I am sorry, but all of our team is leveled up to meet his level 88 Pikachu. I do have a plan for this battle. He has a Lapras and a Blastoise that is going to pose a very serious threat, but unfortunately it's going to require a sacrifice. Turn 1, Pikachu hits us with a resisted Iron Tail, and I set up Stealth Rock. I want to do some chip damage as these Pokemon come out. We get hit with another Iron Tail from Pikachu, but we can cleanly one-shot it with Earth Power. That is one of Red's Pokemon down, 5 to go. Out comes Lapras, and we've taken quite a bit of damage from Hail and the Iron Tails, but there is nothing I can really swap into this Lapras, so I just leave Z in as we get hit with a Brine. I do have a held Pasho Berry to weaken Brine's power, but Lapras gets a critical hit, taking out Z. I told you it was going to require a sacrifice. I didn't want it, but we had to do it. This brings a free swap in to Apollo, takes a little bit of chip damage on the swap in, and we can set up a Sunny Day. Sunny Day combined with our Pasho Berry weakens Lapras's Brine to where it only does less than 30 damage. We can fire back with a super effective Solar Beam, cleanly one-shotting the Lapras, and that is one major threat out of our way, 2 Pokemon down. Blastoise comes out, and we outspeed it, and we take it out with a single solar beam. That is the two major threats on Red's team down, and half of his team has now been fainted. Of course, we lost one in the process. Out comes Snorlax. I misclicked. We hit Fire Blast, we connect with Fire Blast, and that combined with the Stealth Rock takes Snorlax right to about half health. That bar ticks down so slow. We get hit with a fairly nasty crunch that gets the defense drop. Very, very unfortunate. I then fire off a Focus Blast the next turn, and it does connect. And as that health bar slowly ticks down, we do knock out the Snorlax. 2 to go. Out comes Charizard, and Charizard takes an immense amount of damage from Stealth Rock. It's part of the reason that we set it up, and I swap into Surya. Charizard goes for Flare Blitz. Surya tanks it very well. And then Charizard goes for Dragon Pulse. We've seen that combination somewhere else, Blue. We fire off a quad super effective Ancient Power that takes out the Charizard, and we are sitting at 124 health. Now, because we set up the Sun with Apollo, when the Sun fades, we don't go back to hail damage. So that's really nice. We haven't been taking chip damage this whole battle. Venusaur comes out and hits us with a Giga Drain that does a decent amount of damage, but not a lot. We fire off a Flamethrower that doesn't, fortunately, KO the Venusaur, leaving it at low health. I know Blue is going to heal. I don't think we can tank another move, so I need to swap, and I decide, Ra, you are the one to take down Red's final Pokemon. We get off an Intimidate. Red goes for a full restore. None of any of that matters because Ra connects with a 120 base power physical Flare Blitz that cleanly one-shots the Venusaur, winning us the run, winning us the Kanto side of things. You know, to be fair, Johto is the game. Once you beat the champion, that's the end of the run. The credits roll. Everything after that is post-game. It's not a requirement to beat Kanto. It's not a requirement to beat Steven Stone in Pokemon Emerald. But this was a lot of fun. And I think going forward, if we have enough of a team, we're going to see the Kanto side of things done. In my bug-only run, I didn't have enough Pokemon. We had one make it through Lance, and there's no way I could have beat the entirety of Kanto. Maybe, but I wouldn't have beaten Red. Doesn't matter. That run is done and dusted. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. There won't be a lull between part 1 and part 2, which is super nice. And as always, if you enjoyed the video, like, comment. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We've made it to 1,000 subscribers, and that is amazing. So I do apologize for the ads, because those will be in the videos from now on out. A lot of eagle-eyed viewers will notice there's still a decent amount of time on this video, and Zap, you're doing your outro. Well, that's because some of you may comment, hey, you can get Charmander. And I wanted to show you that yes, you can, but it's not until after you beat Red. You can go talk to Professor Oak, and he says the same thing over and over again and wants to rate your Pokedex. It's not until after you've beaten all the gyms and fought Red at the top of Mount Silver that the events in the Pokemon lab at Professor Oak's lab changes. I also changed the death box to put Z in there just because we're doing a little bit extra at the end here. Z, you're going to sit in the ash cloud in the sky with Mithra, keeping him company in the afterlife. You two were phenomenal Pokemon. I am terribly sorry. After the credits roll, once again, we can head to Pallet Town in Kanto, and this scene plays out where Professor Oak gives you an option to get one of the 3 Kanto starters. If you wanted to get all 3 Kanto starters, you could play through this game 3 times and trade them over to a game like Platinum, and you would get all 3 Johto starters and all 3 Kanto starters. That is a lot of work, and I think Game Freak is a twisted corporation that must be stopped at all costs. They're just out here trying to get so much money for us buying all these different games. That's why they're never going to make another game like Legends Arceus, because you only needed 1 to complete the entire game, and you didn't need to connect it up to the Nintendo Online. Nonetheless, let's look at this level 5 Charmander. It does have a hardy neutral nature, and this thing would have been a great addition to the team, but there is nothing left for us to do.